Welcome to the deep dive. You know, we often look for influence in the big moments, the loud voices. But today, we're digging into something quieter. We're asking, can real, lasting impact come from someone who, well, wasn't really in the spotlight? Our sources suggest, yeah, absolutely. Sometimes the biggest waves start with someone just making a connection. So our mission today is to explore this idea through the story of Andrew. Now, he's often kind of overshadowed by others, his more famous contemporaries, but his legacy, according to the material we've explored for this deep dive, it's built on this really crucial act of bringing just one person to the right place at the right time. We've got this fascinating sermon that sheds a lot of light on his specific approach, and honestly, the ripple effects are, well, they're profound, world-changing even.
Right. And what's really illuminating here, what the sources bring out, is how Andrew's actions, which seem pretty small on the surface, unassuming even, how they had these truly enormous consequences. It's disproportionate, really. And this isn't just about, a factor from the past. It's about pulling out these universal principles of connection, of influence. We're going to unpack how one person just faithfully acting as that bridge can spark incredible change, often far beyond anything they could have seen at the time. It's a powerful lesson, isn't it, about valuing that subtle art of connection.
It really is. It's so easy to get caught up thinking you need, I don't know, a huge platform or this booming voice to make a real difference. But Andrew's story, like you said, as it comes through in our material, just flips that whole idea on its head.
Yeah.
So to understand him, let's place him first. The source tells us he started out not immediately with Jesus, but actually as a disciple of John the Baptist.
A pretty major figure at the time.
Exactly. John was this prominent prophetic voice, calling for repentance. So that connection, it shows Andrew was already seeking. He was drawn to these spiritual movements, these impactful teachers. Then, the key moment. John points to Jesus, calls him the Lamb of God.
Which is a hugely significant title. It implies sacrifice, redemption for the world.
Right. And Andrew, according to the source, he didn't wait. He didn't debate. He immediately believed Jesus was the Messiah, the promised one, and boom, he became one of the very first disciples.
And that's such a crucial detail. Our source makes a point of saying Andrew wasn't known later for being like a famous preacher.
No.
Not like his brother Peter or Paul, who wrote so much of the New Testament. No, the source calls Andrew a personal evangelist. His specialty was the one-on-one.
Ah, okay. So less about the crowd, more about the individual.
Precisely. If you connect this to the bigger picture, Andrew's story is a reminder that it's not always about the grand speeches, or the massive rallies. Often the most potent force is quieter. It's that authentic connection built on trust, not just charisma. His whole method wasn't about converting thousands himself. It was about bringing maybe a few people, or sometimes just one or two people, to Jesus. He trusted something bigger would happen from that. And critically, those people he connected, they often went on to do, as the source puts it, enormous work.
Okay, so what was his secret sauce then? What actually equipped him for this unique role? What did he have that allowed him to connect so effectively, maybe when others couldn't, at least initially? Our source goes into his character. It says he really loved people. Like, genuinely.
Yeah, it comes across strongly.
Yeah. He was good at human relations, the kind of person who remarkably seemed to have no enemies. People just respected him. They trusted him, which meant, when Andrew suggested something, people listened. They were willing to follow his lead. And that open-mindedness, that quick thinking we saw with John the Baptist, believing immediately, that was key too. He was ready for truth.
And this really raises an important question for all of us, doesn't it? The source is quite clear. Good relationships are a prerequisite for this kind of quiet influence. I mean, if people don't fundamentally trust or respect you, how can you possibly expect them to follow you towards something new, something important? Andrew built that foundation. People felt liked by him, valued, respected. He created this environment of mutual trust.
That makes sense.
So think about your own connections, in your life. Are you seen as someone reliable, someone whose word counts when you introduce an idea, or a person? That trust. That was Andrew's currency. And it's a really profound lesson just in itself.
So, okay, he's got this character, this approach, this humble, well-liked guy. And he starts making these introductions, pivotal ones. Let's unpack the first one, the most famous, his own brother, Peter. And here's a detail from the source that really stood out to me. Andrew brings Peter to Jesus before Peter becomes this giant figure we know.
Right, before he's the chief disciple or the first pope in Catholic tradition.
Exactly. At that moment, Peter's just a fisherman. That's it. Andrew couldn't have known his brother's future. He wasn't acting on some prophecy about Peter. He just brought him because of his own conviction about Jesus.
That detail, It really makes you pause, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Our source actually asks the question directly. If Andrew hadn't made that introduction, would Peter, this monumental figure, the rock, would he even have existed in the way we understand him?
Wow.
It's just a stark reminder of the incredible unforeseen leverage one connection can have. And this applies beyond faith too, right? Think about people close to you, family, friends, neighbors. Maybe they're disconnected from something important in their lives, or they just haven't encountered a certain idea or community yet. The source really emphasizes it's not about finding quote-unquote important people or predicting who's going to be some future leader.
It's about who's accessible.
Yes, accessible people. You don't need a crystal ball about their future impact. You just make that initial connection based on trust, based on genuinely wanting to share something you found meaningful.
Okay, so that's Peter. Huge impact from one brother bringing another. What's the second key introduction Andrew made, according to the source? This one highlights something else about him, his ability to see value where others didn't. It's the famous story, feeding the 5,000.
A massive crowd.
Massive. The source explicitly says over 5,000 men, but it estimates maybe 20,000 people total if you include women and children. Huge logistical problem. And Philip, another disciple, he's looking at the situation and he's just skeptical. He's like, we have no money, we have no food, focused entirely on the lack.
A very practical but limited view.
Totally. But Andrew, completely different mindset. Our source highlights this contrast. Instead of despairing, he starts looking. He proactively searches the crowd for something, anything. And what does he find? A small boy with a tiny lunch. 5 barley loaves and 2 small fish. I mean, talk about a difference in approach.
And the source just beautifully emphasizes Andrew's value for what seems insignificant. He didn't dismiss the smallness of the offering. He didn't dismiss the age of the giver. He didn't look at this kid with his little packed lunch and think, well, that's useless against thousands.
No, because he knew Jesus.
Exactly. He knew Jesus was capable of amazing things. So Andrew just acted as the conduit. He brought the boy, brought his small offering over to Jesus. And we all know the story. Jesus blesses that tiny meal. And miraculously, everyone eats. They even collected 12 baskets of leftovers. Andrew's simple act, seeing potential, making the connection, it unlocked this incredible miracle.
So drilling down on that, what does that detail mean for us today in our lives? Our source really challenges us here. It urges us not to judge people, not to write them off as useless or not helpful or too poor, too sick, too lonely, whatever the label is. It points to Jesus' own example, right?
Yeah.
He consistently went to the outcasts. Tax collectors like Zacchaeus or Matthew despised people.
Absolutely. Or those suffering from leprosy who are totally ostracized.
Yeah, the source is crystal clear on this. No one is insignificant.
And that connects directly to this bigger picture of, well, radical inclusion. Our source powerfully reinforces this idea. Every single person, regardless of how society values them, regardless of their perceived contribution, every person is precious and capable of great things when they're connected to the right source, the right power. It's a direct challenge to us, isn't it? We shouldn't let our own prejudices, our assumptions about someone's status or wealth or abilities, we shouldn't let that block access for anyone.
Yeah, don't be the gatekeeper.
Right. Andrew saw value in a child's tiny lunch. He didn't dismiss it. That's a really powerful lens for us to try and adopt.
Okay, so Peter, the boy with the loaves and fish. Now let's get to Andrew's third pivotal introduction. This one really shows his ability to bridge divides, big divides. It happens during Passover, a major religious festival. Some Greeks show up. They want to meet Jesus. Now Philip, again, another disciple, he's hesitant, and our source explains why this was a big deal.
These weren't Greek-speaking Jews. They were Gentiles.
Yeah.
Non-Jews.
Exactly. And in that society, Gentiles faced huge barriers, religious and social. They were generally kept to the outer courts of the temple. It symbolized their separation, their outsider status. This wasn't just a small thing. It was a deeply ingrained cultural and religious divide. So Philip is stuck. But who does he go to?
He goes to Andrew.
He goes to Andrew, and the source suggests why. It seems Andrew just didn't have those same hang-ups. He didn't discriminate between Jew and Gentile. He apparently maintained good, open relationships with everyone. He was seen as that bridge builder.
Unburdened by the prejudices that might have stopped others.
Yeah. So Andrew, he doesn't hesitate. He immediately brings these Greeks to Jesus. He just cuts through the social barriers that seem so daunting to Philip. And the implication in our source is that these individuals, these Greeks, likely became evangelists themselves. They took the message back with them, spreading it far beyond its original Jewish context.
Which demonstrates the sheer reach of Andrew's inclusive approach. He wasn't just connecting individuals anymore. He was connecting whole cultures in a way.
It really does highlight his universal approach, his lack of prejudice. He just sought people who were seeking, not categories.
And if we connect that to the bigger picture again, Andrew teaches us such a vital lesson. Look beyond the labels. Look beyond the perceived differences, the societal boundaries that we erect or inherit. Our role, as the source frames it through Andrew's example, is to be an open door, not a gatekeeper.
Yeah.
Especially for those who are actively seeking connection, regardless of their background. His actions were just pivotal in paving the way for the message to spread, to expand beyond its initial cultural walls. Others might have resisted that or just overlooked it. Andrew opened the door. It's about seeing our shared humanity first, isn't it?
Absolutely. So if you look at Andrew's legacy, summing it up from our source, it's built on these three kinds of actions, really. Bringing his closest family, Peter, valuing the child's small offering that others dismissed, and connecting with foreigners, the outsiders. And his core method, it was consistent. Value one person, build that trust, that respect, have a rock-solid belief yourself, in this case, Jesus, and then just make the introduction.
That's the key, isn't it? He didn't see himself as the one who had to solve all their problems, or perform the miracle, or give the big speech.
No, he was the guide.
He was the guide. He brought people to the true problem solver, the true guide, Jesus. And this raises, I think, a really important question for us today. How often do we feel like we have to fix someone, or we have to be the expert ourselves before we can possibly introduce them to help, or to a community, or maybe a new way of thinking?
Yeah, we put that pressure on ourselves.
We do, but our source makes it clear Andrew wasn't the miracle worker. He wasn't the main preacher. He was the catalyst, the introducer. His job, fundamentally, was simply to make the connection. The profound transformation happened in that interaction after the introduction. There's a powerful distinction, actually. It kind of removes that burden, that feeling that we need to have all the answers or all the power ourselves. Maybe our role is just to open a door.
So, bringing it right back to you, our listener, what does this incredible story of Andrew mean for your life? Right now, our source really encourages us, actively look around, identify just one person, maybe someone in your circle who seems small or unlikely, maybe someone who feels poor or sick or lonely.
Yeah.
Think about who might genuinely benefit from a connection. Maybe it's to a new idea you found helpful, or a supportive community you're part of, or a belief that sustains you. It's such a powerful reminder from the source. The seemingly useless list, part 10, might end up doing God's great work. We just never know, do we? We never know the full ripple effect our simple, trusting introduction might create. Wow, what a truly illuminating deep dive that was into the profound, often understated power of just being an Andrew. We've really seen how bringing just one person, focusing on building genuine trust and truly believing in the inherent value of every single individual, how that can transform lives, and even potentially history itself. It's a potent lesson in that quiet, consistent work of connection, often happening far from the spotlight, but yielding just immense results.
It really is. And the source leaves us with this final, quite provocative thought. It urges us really to look around our own circles, our own lives. Is there someone right now who genuinely wants to connect or explore something meaningful, but they feel like they have no one to bring them, no bridge? Someone who feels isolated, perhaps, alone, or maybe someone who just seems unimportant through society's lens, but who might be absolutely essential in some bigger plan. Just waiting for someone to make that first connection. And maybe also consider the Andrews in your own life who opened a door for you. And who are you meant to be an Andrew for? Because the impact of that single, trusting connection, made with an open heart, without prejudice, it might be far, far greater than you could ever possibly imagine.
A powerful place to end. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the transformative power of one connection. Keep making those connections, keep valuing those individuals, and we'll see you next time.